Hi, y'all. Good afternoon. Is it afternoon or evening? Good evening, y'all. I am Shelly B, a conservative Black sister surviving in a hot mess world, and a hot mess it is indeed. And I had to come away from my summer fun to discuss this because this is a real hot mess. That mayor out there in Chicago, after saying that Chicago is the most safest big city, had 100 shootings over July 4th weekend, and I'm not even sure how many people have been deceased because of it. Before we unpack this, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. If you do that, do whatever you have to do to keep this algorithm going so your sister can stay on here, monetize my channel, and continue to bring all this lovely information to you all out there. So, first things first, Mayor Johnson, whatever his name, Brandon Johnson, whatever his name is, he has been a hot mess for years, okay? Chicago has been failing the whole time he has been there, okay? Black people have really turned against him completely. And if you want to really kiki, go listen to one of the town halls because the people of Chicago can't stand him. At least the Black people, that is. I mean, I think everybody in the whole state, the whole city should, be sick of him for all the crazy policies that he's created. And for him to have the nerve to get on TV and talk about Chicago being so safe when it's not. It's not. I don't know where he got those delusional stats from, but the people that live there have something completely different to say. The illegal crisis that they had there with the illegals coming into the hoods and causing a lot of problems too, and he's sitting up there defending everything wrong that he shouldn't be doing. But let's listen to what this fool got to say, because I'm telling you, that's why I had to get out of New York, because it's just too much of a huge hot mess how they run things. It's I just don't see why any people are left defending these people. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I really just don't. Let's see what he's going to say.
100 people have been shot in this city. 19 people have been killed this holiday weekend. But these are not.
Now, just days ago now, y'all, he said that Chicago is the safest large city that there is in America. He was very cocky to the reporters. You can go online and see that, because that happened last week or over the weekend, that that a reporter really roasted him and cooked him till he was dry about how he runs the city.
Not just numbers on pages. This is a choice. It's a choice to kill. It's a choice to kill women, a choice to kill children, a choice to kill the elderly. And these are choices that the offenders.
And it's also a choice to not be tough on crime. It's also a choice to not have curfews. It's also a choice to not hold parents accountable for their kids, because most of these crimes out here are committed by young people. I mean, give me a break. It's a choice to not figure out who's getting guns into your city, sir.
Made and they calculated. And I'm here to say emphatically that we have had enough of it. We will be working closely with our state.
We've had enough of it. Okay, the people of Chicago have been telling you for years, and they've been saying for decades and eons, that they've tired of how that city runs. So what is he talking about?
State's attorney, Chicago Police Department, and every area of government to partner to ensure that we bring swift justice and that we provide.
Can you bring swift justice to whoever's bringing the guns into the community? How about that? Instead of trying to take law-abiding citizens' guns away, can we get the guns away from the criminals that are out here shooting 100 people in one weekend? How about that, Mayor Johnson?
Provide at least a piece of closure for the families.
How disingenuous and how fake is he? Look at this. Look at this. Let's rewind this back a little bit.
We are going finally block to block, neighborhood by neighborhood, to make sure that the city is safe.
All right, let's go back to this part here.
We are going for the families.
Well, I want you to see how fake he is.
At least a piece of closure for the families.
Closure for the families. Look at this guy. Look at him. Just look at him. I'm telling you, Black people are tired of ninjas like these, okay? Just like Chris Rock said, there's black people and there's ninjas, and the ninjas have got to go. And he is definitely a ninja that we would love to see go. He needs to be voted out of office. I feel like all of these liberal mayors need to be voted out of office. These cities are in a shambles.
We are going finally block to block, neighborhood by neighborhood, to make sure that the city is safe and to.
Okay, now they're going to go block to block, neighborhood to hit neighborhood. Shouldn't you have been doing that before 100 people got shot? And how many people got murdered? And you guys like him. That is what you voted for. You voted for him. And others like him in other cities in America. Give me a break.
Ultimately stop this violence. It's because these are not just numbers on pages. These are our fellow Chicagoans.
He is so full of crap.
And this is unacceptable.
It's been unacceptable for decades how that city has run. It's been unacceptable how you've been treating the Black community all of COVID. Everything you've done for Chicago has been unacceptable. Look at his face. Look at him. This is a person that you trust. This is a person that you think is sincere. Really? That's what y'all voted for. That is what you voted for. And the sad part of it is that the Black people did get him office and they feel hoodwinked and played and they turned against him. And that city, as far as Black people are concerned, is now red. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. He just was on there saying that Chicago was safe, being extra cocky, giving out all of these BS numbers about how safe it is and how happy everybody is to be a Chicagoan and, let's go Bears and all, just patronizing. And then the next few days later, 100 shootings. I feel terrible for these families. But then again, when you look at who's the ones shooting these guns and getting these illegal guns from where, you have to go back and look at these parents. Who's raising these monsters? Who? Look at this, what happened in Indianapolis. This is crazy. This is crazy. I just showed Chicago mayor because I just want y'all to see that this is happening everywhere where liberals run the city. It's like the purge out here. It's like the purge. And y'all are sitting here defending this and you're voting for these people and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And y'all worried about Donald Trump when you have people running cities that are like this, like the purge. It's disgusting. I mean, y'all need to get it together. Please get it together.
We know one of those victims that died this morning is a juvenile. And I will say all 7, there were 3 juveniles, 3 adults involved with this. We're still figuring out the second.
And by the way, this is Anton Daniels. I like to come on here and show you guys different perspectives out here than the mainstream media perspective, than the liberal perspective, especially from the voice of Black men, because they are always never heard in the mainstream, or when they are heard, they're the weakest, most wokest, just insane positions that I've ever heard in my entire life. This is Anton Daniels. Do I agree with him all the time? Other says what needs to
of the this after the shooting happened. So let me step out of the way so I can show you what is going on behind us. They have taken a large section of Illinois street that is blocked off for this investigation. The majority of this happening between Illinois and Washington. But as you can see, cops, investigators still out here this morning trying to pick up evidence, figure out what led up to this mass shooting. So I do want to show you the scene when our crew first got here earlier this morning to show you how large this scene was. It happened around 1:30 this morning. IMPD officers who were already downtown responding to a separate disturbance heard shots being fired off of Illinois and Washington. They were just a couple blocks down the road. When they got closer to this scene, they found 6 people who were shot. One of the victims died on scene. 5 people were rushed to the hospital. That's when police say one of the other victims, the juvenile, died. And then they say a 7th victim walked into the hospital later on throughout the morning. Like we said, in total, 3 juveniles shot, 3 adults still figuring out the identity of the one who died. Chief Chris Bailey says violence like this shouldn't have happened this weekend, especially when thousands were here in the city for the holiday.
I want to get into his full response, so I'm going to switch over videos really quickly. This is some of what he had to say as a result of all of these juveniles, and we could just call them what it is, a lot of Black people that went in.
Exactly, because that's the part that always gets left out of the story, that these people that are doing the smash and grabs and the looting and the shootings are Black people, young Black kids. Where are their parents at? Can their parents be held accountable? Because I'm sure if you start making these parents held accountable, like Kamala Harris was doing in California, locking up parents of truant children and even locked up a mother with a sick child, then maybe something will change.
And they destroyed the city. And I didn't even know Indianapolis was caught up like this. Indianapolis.
Yeah, mainstream media never tells you what goes wrong with what they're doing. They just want you to hate, conservative and Republican policies, even though they're the ones that are destroying every city in the world. City in America. It's crazy. They don't report on the messed up things and how messed up their cities are, though. That's why a lot of people never hear these stories.
Was supposed to be a conference city.
This kind of violence, whether downtown or any of our neighborhoods, is completely unacceptable and unnecessary. Unnecessary. Thousands of people came downtown tonight, enjoyed the fireworks, and went home. Thousands more chose to come down here and all night cause trouble. I was down here until about 12:30 tonight. I worked with my officers, took the runs with them, dealt with the disturbances, dealt with the utter disrespect for our city, for our laws, and for law enforcement. Hundreds of unsupervised kids down here. I don't know.
And I've seen unsupervised kids wilding out where I live at, in the malls and stuff. Who raises these animals? And they need to be held accountable, these parents. And these kids, if they're out here committing crimes and carrying guns, they need to be off of the street, period. And that's the problem with these liberal cities, is that they don't have stiff enough punishments for all of this foolishness. And all of these crimes that are being committed, people are in and out of jail like a revolving door.
I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers.
Okay, well, stop saying it and do something about it. They have curfews there and stuff, but they just don't, exercise, what they need to do to keep people off the street. Lock them up. Let their parents be inconvenienced to come and get them out of jail. If your kids are committing crimes, let the parents be held accountable. Why are all these kids, these young kids under 15 and younger, out in the city at midnight? Child.
You are. And parents.
You can hear them still being contributing to black fatigue in the background. You can still hear it. But then we'll sit there and talk about how we so great and how the world should respect us when we don't even respect ourselves.
And cry racism every time that people don't want to be bothered with your ass. Why people don't want to put stores in your community or close down every store in the community. Why people don't want you to be a part of anything. Look at Carnival, how they're trying to find a way to wean black people from getting on their cruises. Come on, it is what it is. And it's not all black people as a whole, like Chris Ross said. There's black people and there's ninjas. And the ninjas have got to go. Okay? The ninjas have got to go. The ninjas are a small percentage of the population, and black people don't want them or like them either. We don't want to live with them and be around them either.
We can't even get our own households together.
And guardians have got to step up. A kid is dead tonight.
If white people could truly say the truth and really what was on their mind instead of having to be politically correct and play the game, maybe we could actually get.
Yeah, because as soon as they say what it really is, then liberals are going to, oh, that's racism, white supremacy. Oh, that's our biggest threat in the community is white people and racism and white supremacy. No, it's not. We are each other's own enemy. Why can't we say this and do something about it and start holding the people accountable that's doing it? These cities want to defund the police. Really? You really want to defund the police when 100 people get shot in Chicago and you have a mass shooting? I mean, it makes no sense. I just pray for the day when people will look back in history and liberalism will not exist anymore. And people will look at this period in history and say, what were they thinking?
Somewhere and we can start having some uncomfortable conversations. But in the meantime, I'll do it for them. I'll do it for people. I'll hold everybody accountable. White people, black people.
And he will too, because that's the one thing I like about him is that he's free. That's what I was telling you about over 4th of July weekend. Independence, my ass. Y'all are not free because you're scared to speak your mind. You're afraid to say the truth. You're worried about your job. You're worried about this, worried about that, scared of your own shadow. One thing about somebody like this, he's already a millionaire. He makes his money independently. He can say whatever he wants. He does not care. And I love the people like that.
People, women, men, everybody needs to be brought to the front of the congregation because this is what's happening in our schools. This is what's happening in your neighborhoods. This is what's happening on Carnival cruise ships. This is what's happening on Spirit and Frontier Airlines. This is what's happening in every major city, every blue city across the United States of America that keeps talking about racism and that they want to defund the police while at the same time not even being able to get their own nug and jug in a house.
Wow.
And we just don't know the age of the young man down the street, still here, dead. He looks young. It's unacceptable.
Listen, I made my son watch that movie about the Central Park 5 when they see us and how that gang of kids went out and they got into trouble and some of them were innocent and, you know, it ruined their lives. I tell my son all the time, when there is a group of people doing something, don't go with them. Say, I'll see you later. Come home. Don't be a part of it. Don't get sucked into the foolishness of the mass mind like most people do that are followers. Be a leader and lead your ass home.
The police department all night long went from place to place to place, trying to prevent these kind of things. And I gotta be honest, I'm tired of it. You should be tired of it. This is not our job to do this. It is unnecessary. You don't have to act like this. Our officers, half a block away from when before this shooting started, dealing with another group of individuals.
But he's not allowed to say these black people out here acting crazy. Why are they out here acting crazy and terrorizing our city all the time? He can't say that because he's afraid to say it because he thinks that he's going to be called a racist and a white supremacist or whatever they're going to tell people when they state the truth about a situation. I will tell you, black people are the first people to call out these ninjas. We don't like them either. We don't want to be around with them. We don't want to be on flights with them. We're mad when they too many of them come on a cruise ship too. Say it. Say what it is. So maybe the problem can be corrected. I feel like these parents should be held accountable for their kids. This makes no sense.
Fighting. We made almost probably, well, we're still tallying them, about 20 arrests tonight. Recovered guns that I know of before this happened from 2 kids. One of them was an assault rifle.
Now, if you're recovering guns and assault rifles from kids, don't you need to figure out where these guns are coming from and how they're getting in the hands of kids? Sergeant or lieutenant or whoever the hell he is. That seems like that would be the first thing that you would be doing. But they don't do legal. You better find out then. You better find out, because they sure want to make every legislation to where legal citizens, law-abiding citizens, losing their constitutional rights to bear arms. But yet you have 100 people getting shot. Even Martin Luther King said that everybody, we all should be armed because they'll never do right by us in this country. He said that. And maybe Malcolm X was right. Stuff like that before they killed him at the end of his life.
Stuffed in the front of his pants.
It's crazy.
I'm not sure anymore what it's going to take.
What it's going to take is, if there's curfews, enforce that. If they're out there without their parents after hours, lock them up and let their parents come and get them and fine the parents. And when their parents don't pay them fines and keep a track of their kids, lock them up too. I bet you that will stop it. That will stop it.
For some in our community to wake up. I've said it. This is where the kids are. This is where they are on Friday and Saturday nights. If you want to engage them, if you want to help them, you want to prevent some of this violence, this is where they are. Here, they're here. Come down. I invite all of those who think that I'm exaggerating this or that I'm saying just because it's downtown. No, nowhere else in the city is this concentration of people in one small area.
Of Black people. Say it. Like the time that Delroy Lindo told that white guy, you know you want to say the N-word, say it. Just say it. Say who's over there. Say who you see. Say who's there. Say who's causing the problem. But he doesn't want to say who it is because for some reason, he'll be labeled a racist for saying the truth of a matter and what is actually happening right in front of his eyes. This is crazy.
Less than a half a mile. Come down and see for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You can see them being dropped off by their parents. 5 or 6 at a time out of the car. You can see them.
You know why their parents are dropping them off down there? Because a lot of them have young parents and they're across town having at some other 4th of July celebration without their kids. Let's be real about it.
Jump out of Ubers and Lyfts. You can see them jumping off the buses that they ride down, that they miss and then linger around downtown. Heck, look to your left. You're still going to see some people that probably shouldn't be out here right now lingering.
Oh no, he was cooking though.
He is talking that talk and he is absolutely going off. Yo, I might have to do a deeper dive into Indianapolis on the Millionaire Morning Show in the morning. I think I already done figured out what I want to talk about. He's not playing. He's saying it. Listen, they shouldn't even be out here. What are you doing out there past 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning?
Lock them up and have their parents come get them.
And you can hear them in the background. That's the crazy part about it.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, didn't come down here to see the fireworks, shooting fireworks off at our community from the top of parking garages.
Crazy.
Unnecessary.
Offended at everything, accountable for nothing.
Exactly.
Any questions?
Is it going to take?
They should have just turned the camera. I want to see the camera pan over to the people of who he was referring to specifically. Man, I wish I could
black people sitting there watching.
City departments to step up.
Now, see, we keep going back to what's the government going to do? What's the city going to do? The city's invested in this, millions of dollars.
Now, I really do feel that the city is responsible for the guns that these kids have. Where are these guns coming from? They need to get to the bottom of that. There should be no illegal handguns in their city, and they should know where they're coming from. That's what I feel the city is doing. And then after that, they need to hold these kids accountable for not following the curfews, and they need to lock them up, call your parents, and have your parents come and get you. Okay, and the next time we see your kid, it's going to be a major fine, and we see him again, you're going to be locked up down here too. You know what I mean? They have to make stiffer penalties for crimes. These are crimes. You have to break these kids out of this before they become adults. There's no way a little kid is walking around with an AK-47. Where did he get that from?
Dollars the city, taxpayers pay for police overtime to staff this 1 square mile area with. There was a couple hundred cops down here between state police and Capitol Police and IMPD and other police department agencies. Yes, we're going to keep doing our job. The city of Indianapolis government, the police department is going to continue to do our job. We're not going to solve this. Not just by the police. We made 20 arrests tonight.
It really isn't going to be solved by the police. It has to be solved by these parents. There's no way little teenagers are out downtown late into the morning hours, especially when they have curfew. Because I think I heard they have a curfew for kids 15 and 18 and under, something like that. But they need to start enforcing the curfews. That's the problem. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Why do they keep on trying to blame the police when it's clear the obvious problem is the parents? It's clear the obvious problem is the parents. Why do they keep on trying to have a conversation about the police?
Parents out there.
I don't understand it. I know where my kids are at all time.
Talk
So maybe
about
that's
maybe
I shouldn't be that way. 16-year-old daughter. I cannot imagine letting her roam around down here tonight like she was, like kids were. Unattended, unsupervised, nothing to do. Some of these individuals that were shot could have been very well not engaged in any kind of disturbance whatsoever. But it just caught up in a crossfire. Nearly down here, enjoying ice cream, or maybe they were down here for the fireworks, or wanted to see what's going on in the circle and got caught up in whatever's happening. But look. Nothing good happened.
I don't know why liberals don't want to hold people accountable for the wrong things they do. I don't understand this. They don't report the news accurately. They don't tell the truth about policies when they don't work and stuff like that. Like the people are that stupid. Well, some people are that stupid. Oh man, this is too much.
After midnight, some of these kids should not have been out here. Period. They missed the bus going back. With some of the stories that we heard, one of our officers prevented 2 young girls from getting into a stranger's car because they missed the bus to go back home. Wait, you have no ability to call your parents? Your parents wouldn't come pick you up if you missed the bus? There is a problem.
That's crazy.
There is a problem.
I like this guy. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. T. Genley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love y'all. Appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.
So there you have Anton Daniels' opinion. I'm going to share with you another black man's opinion on this situation because I really like what he had to say. But look at these cities. Look at Chicago. 100 people were shot and maybe 19 people were murdered or something like that. Over the holiday weekend, 100 people were shot over the weekend. Where are they getting all these guns from? That's my thing. Who is supplying these weapons? To me, it's like the 80s and the early 90s all over again with the gang gun violence and all that. Even though it never really left, but it seems like it's upticking if you have 100 murders, 100 shootings in one weekend. And then people wonder why people fear black men, but you get a bad rap because you have a small group of people, a small minority of people ruin it for the whole collective of black people. And it's not right. It's not right. Man, I don't know. I mean, they blame single mothers for everything, but I feel like these boys need men in their lives. They need men in their lives or responsible mothers. I don't understand. I would never let my son carry on like that. I would never let my son be out and not know where he's at. Never. And I would never let my son go to no big event like that without me as a teenager like that. We talked about going for the fireworks. My son said, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go either. I'm not trying to be in no crowd and the crazies show up and hell to the no. Hell to the no. Absolutely not. Now, this is Black conservative perspective. I like this show again because it's a Black man's perspective. And I really do appreciate what Black men have to say. I value their opinion as a Black woman, as the leaders of our community, how they feel about things. Even though Black men are always silenced or made to look like, toxic masculinity and all these different things. But what Antoine just said was 100% correct. And what this gentleman is going to say is 100% correct. And if you look at Black men, if you look at the Black community now, they're over all this woke stuff. They are over all this. All
7 o'clock, 6 o'clock on your Saturday morning. We start with tragic breaking news out of downtown Indy. IMPD telling us that 7 people were shot and 2 have died in a shooting just a few hours ago. Police Chief Chris Bailey went straight to the scene near Washington and Illinois, and the chief did not mince words in a press conference just before 4 this morning. Take a listen.
I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers. You are.
They're going to be your child's keeper once they get 18, and then they end up going up for murder for the rest of their life. A lot of these kids out here, I see it all the time. They kill somebody and then they're in the court crying, falling out because their life is over at 14. What is wrong with these parents that they're allowing this? These parents must be mentally ill. I mean, how can you not care that much about your damn kids?
And parents and have got we and
And even if you're not his own, like, he will be always there.
Aries White is remembering his friend, known as AZ, one of the 2 teenagers killed in a downtown Indianapolis mass shooting. He was just 16 years old.
Families that's hurt and kids that don't even get to see a life where.
Look how young these boys are. I look at these kids and see my own son all the time. Who would allow their kids out there carrying on like that? These parents, I'm telling you, the only way anything's going to change is to hold these parents accountable for their kids. I don't know. You got to get them off the street. They're dangerous.
Experiencing nothing within their time.
IMPD says 7 people between 15 and 21 were shot overnight when hundreds of unsupervised kids were gathered near the Arts Garden. Another teenager, 15 years old, also died at the hospital.
We need our parents and guardians to speak up, to take charge.
was already from going to they're renewing efforts to enforce their juvenile curfew, 11 p.m. for kids under 15 and 1 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays for teens 15 and up.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about a mass shooting that you're not going to hear about on MSDNC or the Chinese News Network because it doesn't fit the narrative. Okay, they can't run the same old propaganda that they usually run when we have mass shootings involving some deranged white male. Okay, in which they talk about how these people are the biggest problem in this country and also how we need gun control. Right. But when it comes to certain other demographics, they really don't want to talk about it at all. Right. They just want to sweep it under the rug and not say anything about it because that's racist. OK. And this story involves some teenagers, some young scholars, some future astronauts, lawyers, doctors, oceanographers, biologists in Indianapolis. OK. Who were smoked during a mass shooting in the downtown area. And that has caused the police chief to go viral because of this pretty really put their faces out.
And isn't that something that the mainstream media does not like tell these stories? Why is that?
They're like that, right? But I want people to see what we're dealing with here. Okay, a 16-year-old by the name of Xavier Jackson. His family tells a reporter he was one of the 2 teens who died in Saturday's mass shooting in downtown Indianapolis. His family also tells me they've already lost 2 of Xavier's brothers to gun violence. Xavier's friends say he went by AZ and wore his heart on his sleeve. Again, what you have here is a young scholar who apparently is 16 years old. 16 with neck tattoos, arm tattoos. Yeah, looks like a typical 16-year-old to me, right?
It's just like with Carmelo Anthony, like, you know, they're going to make it seem like, you know, he's this stellar person and he's so great and he didn't do anything wrong and, you know, this, that, and the third. But, like, he wasn't that kid. He wasn't.
In this country. It just should not be happening, but it continues to happen. And yet we're not pointing the fingers at the people who are responsible for this, which are the parents. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Chris Bailey, Chief of Police for the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. I'll just add on a little bit to what she said about our thoughts and prayers for the victims here tonight, their families, and the long road ahead for all of them as we try to uncover exactly what and why this all happened tonight. This kind of violence, whether downtown or any of our neighborhoods, is completely unacceptable and unnecessary. Unnecessary. Thousands of people came downtown tonight, enjoyed the fireworks, and went home. Thousands more chose to come down disturbances, dealt with the utter disrespect for our city, for our laws, and for law enforcement. Hundreds of unsupervised kids down here. I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are not your children's keepers. You are. And parents and guardians have got to step up. A kid is dead tonight. And we just don't know the age of the young man down the street.
This is crazy.
Still here, dead. He looks young. It's unacceptable. The police department all night long went from place to place to place, trying to prevent these kind of things. And I gotta be honest, I'm tired of it. You should be tired.
I couldn't even get there. Why? I don't understand these people that run this, like, why? It makes no sense.
To do this, it is unnecessary. You don't have to act like this. Our officers, half a block away from when before this shooting started, dealing with another group of individuals fighting. We made almost, probably, well, we're still tallying them, about 20 arrests tonight.
See, again, this is a part of the problem. You say there were hundreds of these young scholars, these future astronauts who are out and about being agents of chaos, but yet you've only made about 20 arrests. That's a part of the problem. You have to have a zero tolerance policy. If you know, and again, it's not his fault, right? I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that the leadership in this city to deal with this violent teenager problem, because that's what it is, violent teenager problem, mainly of a certain demographic that, again, you can't talk about or else you're racist, right? You can't tell the truth about it.
Yep.
Individuals involved. As long as there are no consequences, behavior is not going to change.
Exactly. That's why so much crime was happening in Europe, because there wasn't no consequences. They get in jail and they get out on their own recognizance and go right back and do it again. So how is that helping anything? It's like they want to see cities to collapse and be crazy.
Strong words are one thing, but you need strong action. You need strong action. Zero tolerance. Okay? So don't get me wrong. I understand where this chief is coming from. He is fatigued to the max, right?
We
this
all
is
are.
fatigue right here. Okay. That's what we're listening to. But this story would not be complete unless I pointed out that there's a disconnect here. Because in this interview, he's expressing a lot of frustration. But yet, in a subsequent interview where he talks about doing something about it, right? Enforcing curfews. To me, it sounds like he's too soft-hearted to do what actually really needs to be done. He
said, you start there. I don't understand why they're being protected. Say what it is. And then let's hold everybody accountable and do what we got to do to get these kids on track. And parents on track.
tired of. Take a listen.
I'm not so unaware that sometimes parents work and the kids are left to fend for themselves because they have to survive. I'm not aloof to that. And that's why any kind of curfew enforcement needs to be based in help and not punishment.
When 7 teenagers were shot,
They need punishment. That's the problem. That's why these kids are crazy, because I know growing up, if I was carrying on like that, I would have some serious consequences. Serious consequences. And probably a beat down. And be on punishment for weeks at a time. Reading books, writing book reports, or whatever, while I'm not
In March of 2024, in nearly the same downtown location, IMPD said it would enforce youth curfew laws. And after 4 months, officers
enforce youth curfew laws. So that just lets you know they already have curfew laws. They just don't enforce it. Make it make sense. And then they wonder why all these young people are out here acting crazy. Enforce the curfew laws and lock them up and make their parents come and get them.
picked up just 3 kids for violating it, and IMPD said it wasn't tracking curfew violations. It's not clear why IMPD stopped enforcement, and Chief Bailey is pleading for parents' help.
Set clear boundaries from parents and guardians to their children. Talk to their kids about what the curfew is. Decide how often they would check in. Pick the best ways to stay in touch.
You know, it's a damn shame that you have to tell people this about how to keep in touch with their children and how to keep their children off the street.
Use technology where
says
you can find really no safe spaces for them to go.
You know where the safe space is at? In your house, at home, with your parents. Oh my God, I just...
Where they can kind of be themselves, have fun. Yeah, I'm not surprised because it seems like when you go somewhere every day, it's always something going to happen.
Now, when it comes to curfew enforcement, City County Councilor Leroy Robinson, who's also the chairman of the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, says there's not enough staffing at the Juvenile Detention Center to intake and process large numbers of minors on the weekends.
And this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Is anybody
So
tired
that's
of
why
hearing
they're
this
not
bullshit?
enforcing it.
Because that's what it is. It's bullshit. Well, they just need something to do on the weekends. This is why they're shooting each other. They're killing each other because they don't have anything to do. They're bored. Is that what young black teenagers do when they're bored? Kill each other, right? Because when I was a young black teenager, there were plenty of times where I was bored. But I didn't decide to kill somebody out of boredom, right? That never crossed my mind. Or to be
like that. Then out is just watching because that the parents have no power or control to discipline them.
These people making excuses for that bad behavior, talking about we need something to do. Read a book.
Exactly.
That's what you should be doing. Learn something. Do something constructive. You don't need to be out and about after midnight on the holidays, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
My parents would tear my butt up.
Mine too.
Up. Okay. Raw. For being out that late at that age. So again, consequences.
Yeah.
Accountability. This police chief, I hate to be hard on him, but he's sitting here talking about, well, the curfew doesn't need to be based in punishment. It needs to be based in help, right? Enforcing the curfew. And it's like, well, if you're not going to punish,
we're going to help your kid to not kill somebody by locking them up. And we're going to help you to be a better parent by locking you up and charging you fines and whatever we got to do off your kid. Yeah.
Not gonna, you know, That's not respond to that.
At
That is
all.
weakness. That's what you got to understand. You got to understand what you're dealing with here. These people don't respond to weakness. They respond to brute force. They respond to strength. They respond to no nonsense, right?
It's true.
They don't respond to strongly worded letters or speeches. That's not what they respond to. A lot of these kids are hanging out with gang members.
Yeah.
They're in the hood. They hang around and they're used to violence. So again, they don't respond to talk. Okay, that's not their language. They don't speak that language. So again, you got to enforce the curfew. If you have a curfew, then enforce it. You need to keep track of who's violating the curfew.
Yeah.
So that, you know, when you have repeat offenders, they're actually punished. And you start fining people. You start fining the parents.
Yep.
You start financially hitting them in the pockets.
That's right.
You start jailing these individuals, locking them up and throwing away the key. Oh, you'll see behavior change. Because if they all in jail, then they're not out there in the streets. Over and over again, and then you'll get another one of these speeches next weekend.
Oh yeah, there'll be another
Recovered
one next
guns
weekend.
that I know of before this happened from 2 kids. One of them was an assault rifle stuffed in the front of his pants. I'm not sure anymore what it's going to take for some in our community to wake up.
Yeah, again, punishment, accountability. That's what it's going to take. It's really simple. No nonsense. Okay, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. Actually enforcing the curfew. Okay, arresting them, mass arrests, throwing them in jail, locking them up. That's what's going to change behavior. And if
you don't remember in the 80s when on TV it would always be like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? No, these people don't know where their damn children are. I feel like parents should be held accountable for not knowing where their kids are. I don't know how they can really correct this, but I think he's right. You have to get these kids off the street, one, especially if they're repeating crimes, and make these parents be held accountable.
If you want to engage them, you want to help them, you want to prevent some of this violence, this is where they are. Here, they're here. Come down. I invite all of those who think that I'm exaggerating this or that I'm saying just because it's downtown. No, nowhere else in the city is this concentration of people in one small area, less than a half a mile. Come down and see for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You can see them being dropped off by their parents. 5 or 6 at a time out of the car. You can see them jump out of Ubers and Lyfts. And you can see them jumping off the buses that they ride down, that they miss and then linger around downtown. Heck, look to your left. You're still going to see some people that probably shouldn't be out here right now lingering.
Yeah, so again, they should be arrested. If you know that, they should be arrested. Do something about it. Right? Do something about it. That's the solution.
You see
get them off the street.
Get them off the street. Exactly.
I don't care if you got a profile. Who cares? They deserve to be profiled at this point. Do what you got to do.
Going to bars, not going to restaurants, didn't come down here to
city departments to step up?
Now, see, we keep going back to what's the government going to do? What's the city going to do? The city's invested in this. Millions of dollars the city, taxpayers pay for police overtime to staff this 1 square mile area with, there was a couple hundred cops down here between state police and Capitol Police and IMPD. and other
Get
police
the guns
department
off the
agencies,
street, bro.
yes, we're going to keep doing our job.
Get the guns
The city
off
of
the street.
Indianapolis,
Figure out who brought
government,
the guns.
the police department is going to continue to do our job.
Who's giving
We're not going to solve this.
guns to kids?
Not just by the police. We made 20 arrests tonight.
Bailey, you're a dad.
It's not enough.
Arrest the people that's giving kids guns. Go look for them.
It's not enough. And I understand what he's saying. I get what he's saying. It is on the parents. But you got to say these parents are just as irresponsible as these kids. So they're not going to change with the talk. You got to start punishing people. You have to. Locking people up. Locking them up. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
What would you say to those parents out there?
I don't understand it. I know where my kids are at all time. Be that like kid work.
Me.
And nothing new. You know, some of these individuals that were shot could have been very well not engaged in any kind of disturbance whatsoever. But it just caught up in a crossfire. Nearly down here, enjoying ice cream, or maybe they were down here for the fireworks, or wanted to see what's going on in the circle and got caught up in whatever's happening. But look, nothing good happens after midnight.
Especially for
these kids, some of these kids should not have been out here.
You see how many missing teenagers and missing kids and trafficked teenage girls? Give me a break. These parents need to keep up with their damn kids.
Period. They missed the bus going back. With some of the stories that we heard, one of our officers prevented two young girls from getting into a stranger's car because they missed the bus to go back home. Wait, you have no ability to call your parents? Your parents wouldn't come pick you up if you missed the bus? There is a problem. There is a problem. It's not going to be solved by the police. It's our job to try to keep people safe, and he did it tonight. I watched it with my own eyes.
And the very same cities want to defund the police. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. The most crime, and they want less police. Why is that?
About minor things in downtown Indianapolis. No, minor things turn into big things. The amount of guns that I saw tonight on people roaming around here with nothing else to do. We can't do anything about it. Like, unless you're a kid, there's nothing, unless you're doing something with the gun or doing something illegal. We can't go up and ask you what you're doing with the gun. That turns into bad things, especially when there's fights or when there's alcohol or there's.
Don't they need a permit to be walking around with a gun? What do you mean you can't ask them? What is going on? I don't understand this.
Heat induced.
So can you confirm it?
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Again, I understand the guy's frustration, but again, knowing that they've had curfews and that there's a lack of enforcement, it just makes to me all of a sudden responsible. No mercy on these people.
None.
And until you have that type of policy enforcement where, there's severe punishment for these hooligans being downtown, these agents of chaos being downtown, you're not going to see a change. I don't care how much midnight basketball you have. They ain't got nothing to do. What you mean they ain't got nothing to do? They can be where everybody else is at. Home, watching TV, playing video games, reading a book. Having nothing to do.
Like my son, he be in the bed by 10 o'clock. He be tired on his own damn self. He put his own self in bed by 10 o'clock. He's so conditioned to that. It's no way. It's just too much. It's crazy. No one can make this make sense at all. How little kids are having AR-15s, AK-47s, little kids. That's scary. And then he's saying there's nothing they can do. They can't ask him about they have a gun. I mean, I don't know.
And I'm sick and tired of hearing the same thing every single time. Black folks we the only people that get violent when we ain't got nothing to do. Everybody else, they find something to do. Now they go to sleep.
That's not even funny though.
1
That's
a.m.
crazy.
Nothing to do. Sleep, bed, right? Get up tomorrow, next day, go to work. But you know, the expectations for our people is just is rock bottom.
Yes,
no
it is.
expectations. Apparently, you got to keep them busy all the time, or else they gonna get violent. And it's a shame. It really is. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
So that's Black conservative perspective. I like his channel a lot. And like I said, there is so many Black people out here, especially since COVID and the Biden administration and Trump winning, that have huge followings, huge, bigger than any liberals out here that exist. Independent media has pummeled, the mainstream media. It's just Bird, any of those, they are there to make sure that you don't find out the truth about what's going on. That's called propaganda, friends. Okay? So I'm just curious what everybody thinks about this, because I mean, it's a problem. I have to get out of New York because I watched my neighborhood just go down during COVID. It was a lovely neighborhood, and then during COVID, it just got lots of crime. Because when you take away people's jobs and their coins and everything, they're struggling, they're depressed, or whatever the case may be, they're not really keeping an eye on their kids. They have too much going on, mental health disruptions and all kinds. God only knows what's wrong with some of these parents out here. A lot of these parents are young. They're struggling. Like the cop said, I know a lot of these parents are single parents and nobody's watching the kids. This is crazy. And little kids have weapons and AK-47s and AR-15s. And nobody's trying to figure out where they come from. How did Indianapolis get guns? Why they're so terrible. I don't know why this keeps on buffering, but I've never experienced that before, so I don't know what's going on today. It must be a glitch in the matrix. But I thank you all for watching. I really wish I could come on here sometimes with something more lighthearted to discuss, but the world is in shambles, mostly because of liberalism. I mean, you can't blame Donald Trump for the problems of the Black community, because they were there always. They were there always. This reminds me of the 80s with the gangs, and the 90s, the shootings, and Boys in the Hood and all that. Come on now. We are going backwards so far. It's like, I mean, come on, y'all. Seriously. You want to make it seem like DEI is the Black community's problem? You want to make it seem like Donald Trump and conservatives are the problem? We are the problem. We are our own worst enemy in our community. Got shot. we abort our babies, yet fighting for Planned Parenthood, a prejudiced organization that was created to, sterilize us and make us kill our babies. We are the dumbest. We always work against our own interests. We support and fight for everything that is against our own interests all the time. All the time. And then we'll be angry and mad at the people that's trying to wake you up and elevate you. It's crazy. Shout out to all of the Black men that saw this coming first and got off the Democrat bandwagon first. Black women are still out to lunch, but they are waking up slowly but surely. They had to get some suffering like Chicago and a bunch of illegals thrown in their neighborhood and all their resources taken before they woke up. But shout out to my brothers. That's why I always like to bring you the channels with the Black men, because I always feel like that is a voice that you never hear in the mainstream media. You never hear a real Black man. And perspective on what he feels is for you. To build up the community and trying to do their best to build awareness for our community. This is why they have a bunch of illegals to replace the Black vote, because Black people have woke up. Okay? And they hijacked the term woke, because woke means spiritual enlightenment. None of these people that they call woke are spiritually enlightened. None of these people that are so-called woke have their third eye open. Mine is. Those Black men that I just showed you just now, theirs is. Give me a break. Give me a break. It's time to be strong now. I just look at Africa, Burkina Faso. These people are no longer afraid. Stop being afraid and really get out there, go down the rabbit holes and see what the message really is. Malcolm X talked about this the whole time, about liberals. They are enemies of America, especially the Black man, is what he said. Under these people. We need to get out from under this government, period, and be self-sufficient. That's the first start to being free, because as long as you are on social services and your government is in control of you and you're afraid to speak up for yourself and afraid to speak up for your kids and afraid, you're never going to be free. You're never going to elevate. You're always going to be stuck. I had a union member tell me today, I'm evil because I spoke up against an experimental medical product that I didn't want to take, and I was not afraid to do so. You might be afraid to speak up for the things that you don't want to happen to you. I'm not. And millions of others are not either. And that is why we have the administration we have right now. You got Donald Trump and Alice Marie Johnson, the pardon crew, out there trying to get our people out of jail, and the Democrat liberal cities are trying to send them right back in there. And it was so negative, that's why I didn't even want to show it, of young kids being charged as an adult and getting decades in prison for crimes just like this. And then their mother falling out in jail. Where were you all along? The family fighting and arguing in court, but where were you all along when this young man needed you? Come on. You got to do better. You can't make an excuse. Nobody's hurting us but us. We have everything we need to elevate. This wears me out completely. Let me get off of here. Thank you for watching this most negative presentation of how Black people cannot manage their kids and how Black people cannot manage their youth and how much the community is in dire straits, as always, since Black Wall Street was burned down to the ground and since the civil rights movement, we were hoodwinked into thinking that that was our fight. And we've been being hoodwinked ever since. Much please, and do what you have to do for your community and your kids. If you love your kids, you don't want your kids to be caught up in a system like this. This is just a sure way an unsupervised young man, even girls too, to end up in the prison pipeline making millions for the prison industrial complex, I guess. We need to really get it together. It's really heartbreaking what happened over the holiday weekend, you know, and it's messed up because a small group of people damaged the image of all Black people, and Black people are tired of it. We're tired. We're just as tired as the rest of America of these people. So marinate on that. Go down the rabbit holes. Look at some independent journalists. Get off of mainstream media and go down the rabbit holes and see what really is going on in the world. I am Shelly B. I love you. I got to go right now. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Please, I would really appreciate it if you do.